Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of remote learning. Um, this week, we're going to focus on printmaking. Now, this would have been probably our third or fourth unit had we been back in school, and we would have used much different materials. We're going to use corrugated cardboard. This is my first attempt I did here. Very easy to find, easy to work with. You need some sort of utility knife, really sharp knife. You're going to need a pencil. Now, the corrugations in the cardboard, they are going to show in kind of lines, very thin lines. And you have to rotate your cardboard to determine which way you want those lines to face. Just be aware of that before you start sketching your design onto the cardboard. So here's one that I sketched here. Now, this attempt really wasn't all that successful. I learned a lot of things while doing it, and that's an important part of printmaking. The materials that we're using here, any fine detail, really small lines are not going to show very well. I found that the lines, so really the thickness of that outer circle there, that's kind of the minimum thickness of any sort of line or shape that you want to remove from the cardboard for it to be properly printed. Um, so I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting out these shapes here. I'm going to speed up the video. Again, I tried for all these very tiny details in the interior there, and they really didn't work that well. If I had used a much larger piece of cardboard and made my lines a lot thicker, it would have worked a lot better. So what I'm doing is I had my blade stuck out just the tiniest little bit, just enough to cut through the top surface layer of the cardboard. And I removed that layer. Now you can see the corrugation underneath. That is something that's going to happen just because of the material that we're using. Now we use a lino block if we were at the school, and it's a linoleum product, and you actually carve away using special tools. But it holds its shape, and you don't end up with this kind of lined background. So you want to take your time on this. You want to get rid of as much of that top surface layer of the cardboard as possible. You can see there I'm cutting out the circle. That detail ended up printing quite well when I went and tried it in this first cardboard method. So there it is. There was the final one. You can see that that outer circle, that printed well. Those kind of outer lines, uh, almost like the less than or greater than symbol. They printed all right. So this is the glue gun method, and this is after I'd already applied glue to it. So what I did is I sketched out my design again, and I used my glue gun to create a raised surface. So when I go to apply paint to this, that raised surface should print down on top of the paper. So there's just, I used my regular old glue gun, and I just tried to get as consistent a line as possible. So in terms of thickness, in terms of height, and then I go ahead and this is just regular black paint from the dollar store. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to paint the top surface of the glue that I put down. This is something that comes with practice. The amount of paint you put down is fairly important. I found I had to put a little bit more paint down to get certain details to show. And if I put just a little bit down, it would kind of dry before I could get it onto the printing paper. So this was just my first attempt here. So here we go, just painted it. Put some paper on top. And I just want to kind of rub that paper on top. It's almost like doing a crayon rubbing in a sense. And I'm going to go ahead, lift it off. So there was the first print there. Now, what happened there, why we don't have consistent lines, is because the glue, when you put it down, has high points and low points. And what printed was the high points of the glue. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit more paint here to try to get a little bit more detail to print. The amount of pressure you put on it will make a difference as well. Sometimes I used a pencil and kind of rubbed it on the back. Sometimes I just used my hand. I really just want to press on top of the glue though, and not the empty surfaces, because I don't want those to paint. So here we go. I'm just trying to hit the top of the glue surface. Take it off. There's another print. So I pressed a little bit into a negative space, and that's that kind of black blob on the right and on the bottom. And I'm just trying again, a little bit more paint, just varying the pressure that I try. And that's an important part of printmaking. Even if we were using the linoleum block at school and the proper rollers and brayers and all that, you still do have to play around with the amount of paint that you apply and the pressure that you apply once you put the paper on top. This time I tried a lot more pressure, and I was really trying to focus on just getting the top of the glue to print, and not the negative space that I don't want to print. There we go. That one printed fairly well. So now, to make the print a little bit better, again, I talked about high points and low points. And a way we can fix that and get a more consistent line is to take our glue gun print after that paint has dried, and you go ahead and you sand the top of the glue gun surface. And you have to make sure that all the paint has dried. So you can see the part that's getting lighter there, that's the part that is going to print when we now go ahead and try this again with more paint. So you want to try to sand it down to get as consistent a height of the glue as possible, and that will create the best print possible. And again, there you can see the light areas there that the paint has started to sand off. Those are the areas that will print once you go ahead and apply paint to it the next time. So I'm going to go ahead and try printing that. So I've just sanded the top surface of that glue again to try to get a more consistent height, get rid of those high points. And I'm just kind of putting the paint on as quick as I can so it doesn't dry, and it will transfer to the paper. You can see there's an example just to the left of the screen of one that I've completed, one that I've finished. Let's go ahead and take that off. I just give it a sec for the paint to set. And there you go. Much better. Lines are much cleaner, straighter, more consistent. Thanks for watching.